Embassy, government officials, ZGC officials, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to be here today to discuss an issue that impacts women worldwide, violence against women in politics. The French Embassy is proud to have contributed to this crucial study on the violence faced by women during the 2023 elections, as part of our support for the Zimbabwe 2 project on electoral assistance. The findings of this study highlights the crucial needs to address this frequently overlooked issue. As it was mentioned earlier, 92.4% of female candidates reported experiencing various forms of violence, both online and offline. This is not unique to Zimbabwe. VAWP is a global challenge. It powerfully illustrates the significant barriers that women encounter in their efforts to engage in a political life. This study is a call to action. It not only highlights the prevalence of violence against women in politics, but also emphasizes the importance to create a safer space for women candidates to engage fully in the political sphere. As part of France's feminist diplomacy, we are committed to supporting gender equality and women empowerment. This year we have partnered with Musasa, a local NGO, in Harare and in Marange to support survivors of gender-based violence in rebuilding their lives. Musasa work goes beyond providing immediate shelter. Through initiatives in agriculture, in livestock farming, and tailoring, they are empowering women and young girls to regain independence and economic stability, breaking free from cycles of violence and poverty. We also recently enhanced efforts through ProParco, our financial arm of the French Development Agency, AFD, by launching a series of impactful initiatives to bolster the economic empowerment of women with NMB Bank. That included 50 million USD credit facility alongside 5 million URIS portfolio guarantee and a 5 million trade finance guarantee that will directly support women entrepreneurs, women-led SMEs with a focus on agriculture sector. Those initiatives are designed to open up access to finance and create economic opportunities and allow women to thrive in sectors that are often male-dominated. These efforts are part of our broader strategy of the EU in Zimbabwe, where gender equality and women empowerment are core priorities. Through a coordinated approach, we are addressing immediate challenges and working to ensure that women can participate fully in political, social, and economic life. Also, the French ambassador has actively participated in the 16 days of activism against GBV, joining a high-level conference with the Ministry of Women Affairs and also Team Europe to discuss sustainable financing for GBV response services. In conclusion, I just want to say again that France is very committed to advancing women economic and political empowerment, both in Zimbabwe and beyond. This study highlights the need to establish conditions where women can engage freely and confidently without facing violence or intimidation. It really shed light that it's a sustained attention that we need to put onto this issue, and France will continue to back initiatives that confronts this challenge with determination. Merci, Maita Bassa. Thank you for attention.
The Director of Ceremony, who is the CEO of the Zimbabwe Gender Commission, fellow Zimbabwe Gender Commission commissioners here present, representatives from other independent commissions here present, the Deputy Ambassador of Japan to Zimbabwe, Mr. Hiroyuki Kumagai, the Ambassador of France to Zimbabwe, represented by Madame Lucy Gaolong, UN Women Country Representative, represented by Ms. Fadzai Traquino, members of the Women's Parliamentary Caucus, government officials here present, members of the Gender Observatory, civil society organizations, the media fraternity, representatives from the consultant, Crimson Management Consultancy, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege for me to officiate at this important occasion as we launch the National Study on Violence Against Women in Politics report. The National Study was commissioned by the Zimbabwe Gender Commission in partnership with the UN Women under the Zimeco project. The launch of this report also comes at a backdrop of the commemorations of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The launch therefore symbolically highlights the importance of expanding the scope of our gender-based violence prevention and response mechanisms to also include violence against women in politics, and thereby cultivating an environment of zero tolerance to all forms of gender-based violence. The study was undertaken in line with the UN Women Global Violence Against Women Studies, whose objectives are to strengthen the violence base on women's political participation, experiences, and obstacles, to contribute to development of a global model for measuring and monitoring violence against women in politics, to identify entry points and provide recommendations for strengthening the monitoring, prevention, and response to violence against women in politics in Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, women's political participation in Zimbabwe is experiencing a concerning decline over the years, as evidenced by the outcomes of the 2023 harmonized elections. A trend analysis reveals that women's representation at the National Assembly level has fallen steadily, decreasing from 12.3% in 2013 to 11.9% in 2018, down to 11% in 2023. Similarly, representation at local council level has also declined, dropping from 16.2% in 2013 to 13.3% in 2018 and 12.6% in 2023. This alarming trend underscores the persistent challenges that women face in achieving political equality. This decline is partly attributed to the high prevalence of violence against women in politics, which serves as a significant barrier to women's full participation in the electoral processes. The threat of violence, harassment, and intimidation deters women from participating fully in electoral processes, either as voters, candidates, election officials, media representatives, or political leaders. It is against this backdrop that the Commission undertook this study to systematically analyze and gain a comprehensive understanding of violence against women in politics. The study findings, as presented by the consultant today, paint a disturbing picture of the reality of women in Zimbabwe's political landscape. A staggering 92.4% of surveyed candidates experienced various forms of violence throughout the entire electoral cycle, from pre-election to post-election. This violence is pervasive, occurring both within and between political parties, and is perpetrated by both men and women, but mostly by men. The types of violence are diverse, encompassing sexual harassment, physical assault, cyberbullying, economic coercion, vote buying, emotional and verbal abuse. Psychological violence emerged as the most prevalent form, highlighting the deep-seated emotional toll that violence against women in politics takes on women. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, the findings presented from the national study calls for a multifaceted approach to address the issue of violence against women in politics. No single solution can eradicate this vice. Instead, we must adopt a wide array of measures across different levels to effectively address the various forms of violence against women in the political arena, while taking into account the complex context in which these incidences occur. The report as presented by the consultant comes with a set of recommendations for multi-sectoral stakeholders on preventing and responding to violence against women in politics, some of which include implementation of legislative and policies that address violence against women in politics and holding political parties accountable to gender equality and women empowerment commitments, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge us all to critically reflect on these study findings and take deliberate steps to actively implement the recommendations from the study in our different capacities. At this juncture, I wish to extend our deepest gratitude to our esteemed Zimbabwe partners, particularly the Embassy of Japan, the Embassy of France, UNDP, and UN Women. Your generous financial and technical support has been instrumental in enabling the successful conduct of this crucial national study on violence against women in politics. We cannot overstate the significance of your invaluable contribution to this vital endeavor. Allow me also to thank Crimson Management Consultants for supporting the Commission in conducting this important study. With these remarks, I wish to declare this national study on violence against women in politics officially launched. I thank you. I'm asked to repeat the last part on the launching of the report. With these remarks, I wish to declare this national study on violence against women in politics officially launched. I thank you, Siyabonga Tateni.
On today's launch event, I would like to present a few words on behalf of the government of Japan. I welcome the steady implementation of capacity building activities and study aimed at reducing violence against women in election for the inclusive society. This important study, conducted in participation with UN Women and the Zimbabwe Gender Commission, is supported by Japan $1.44 million election assistance to the United Nations Development Program and suggest recommendations to stakeholders. We therefore commend the collaborative efforts that have led to these significant advancements. Empowering women to participate fully in the economy, society, and politics is essential for social improvement and economic prosperity. For example, through our grassroots project, Japan has helped establish one-stop clinic for survivors of gender-based violence, which will offer medical, psychosocial, and legal support at Mupiro Central Hospital in Bulawayo. One-stop center was officially opened by the Minister of Women Affairs, Community, Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Honorable Monica Muchangawa. We believe that Zimbabwe has a lot of potential, and our cooperation aims to support its sustainable development in alignment with the National Development Strategy 1 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Credible elections and a democratically elected government are vital for this development to take place. For this reason, Japan decided to support ZimEco 2 implemented by UNDP. In its international cooperation, Japan emphasized inclusively as sustainable development can only be achieved when everyone participates, including women and people with disabilities. Equal participation in election is especially essential by mitigating the risk of violence, particularly against women, as well as by establishing a credible and accurate voter register. Finally, we hope that the outcomes of the national study on violence against women in politics will significantly promote gender equality not only in the next harmonized elections, but also in the future economy and society of Zimbabwe. Thank you very much. Tadenda Shabonga. ありがとうございます。